Hi, my name is Beth Hiley here for Board Game Geek TV at Essen 2013, and I'm sitting down with Konstantinos Kokinis of Artipia Games. And you guys have brought us the massively beautiful Archon Glory and Machination.
We're glad you like it.
I am. I was having fun watching them set this up, and it is, I was just saying, a humongous board to fit in a relatively tiny box. I mean, you and I are almost being pushed off the table here. Let's just dive right in, because a lot of people have been really excited to hear about this one.
Okay, let's go. So, in this game, each player takes the role of an Archon in the city of Cardis, which is a city of great wealth, and it's also a city that often becomes a target of invaders. So
As cities of wealth often are.
Yeah. So the king issues demands that we Archons need to fulfill in order to gain his trust and favor. So during this game, we will be playing 9 turns here, and these are separated in 3 different seasons. Okay, so let's talk a bit about the setup. Each player takes 8 courtier cards. And also chooses his own symbol, his own emblem, and takes all the elite warriors. After doing this, every person needs to acquire 2 magisters. There are 4 different types: the merchants, the scribes, the clerics, and the tax collectors. So each person in player order chooses which 2 he wants to purchase. So we first get a few resources, and we make our purchases. So for example, I would choose to buy a merchant. That would mean that I would move my token here 1 step ahead, pay 1 resource, and then take 2 victory points, which are already awarded in the beginning of the game.
So
in the same manner, players will enrich their decks with 2 additional Magister cards. So that would roughly look like this.
2 different ones, I'm guessing. You couldn't do 2 of the same.
You're not allowed to take the same one 2 times. So after taking these, I'm adding them to my deck, and then I shuffle these 10 cards. And during the 1st, the 3rd, the 5th, the 7th, and the 9th turn, I separate these cards, just keep 5 of these on the side and play with the rest of them. Okay, so this game uses a worker placement mechanism, which is a bit different. In order to enter a specific slot on the board, I first need to play a card that will allow me access. So if we look at the board, there are several buildings that allow you to enter them and perform the corresponding actions. There are limitations, which I will explain shortly. We are now ready for a 4-player game, so every slot on the board is available. Otherwise, we have some special tokens that you can use and cover some slots up so that you don't get confused. The board is divided in 2 parts. The upper part is the actions you can play. The lower part is the buildings you can build and take advantage of the abilities they offer. Okay, so each building offers a different ability. After choosing my cards, we are ready to begin, and the first player in the first turn gets his 5 meeples, which represent the actions he can perform. And let's say I want to enter a building, for example here. So these cogs indicate how many cards I will be needing to use to enter.
Alright. Obviously, incentive to get there first, because it only costs you 1 card versus 2.
Of course, these are more expensive. So I would lay down a courtier card and add my meeple there and perform the action right away, which would mean I would take 2 credits. Okay, 2 gold coins, sorry. Credits are from ambassadors. So after that, the next player continues clockwise and we move on. Some areas require to play 2 cards and then add your wooden figure there in order to perform the action. I will first explain what the buildings do and then explain what the magisters do.
Okay.
Okay, so we begin here with the repository where we add from the provinces new resources are added. So these are flipped like that. Each turn we reveal one and the new resources arrive from the provinces.
And you just set that up based on whatever is pictured there.
Yes,
so.
exactly. And this depends on the number of players, 2 players, 3 players, 4 players. So we set this up, and after entering the building you are able to acquire new resources. Okay, in the market we can buy and sell. We can make 2 purchases or 1 sale. It can't be of the same resource. Okay. Over here at the planetarium, we can convert resources and coins
into
to science cards, which is actually one of the scoring cards in the game. On the opposite side, we have the academy, which you can also do the same thing by spending coins to acquire arts cards. Over here is the treasury, where you can get more money for you, and here in the middle is the palace where the king's favors are laid out. These are also placed based on the number of players. So with 2 players we would only use 2, 3 with 3 players, 4 with 4 players. In the next turn that will go away and these will move
you follow
on,
little arrows.
and we reveal one more. These provide additional slots where you can place your wooden fingers and get additional resources. Let's move down here. We have first of all the barracks, which allows you to take new recruits. Here the Royal Guard, where you can convert your new recruits by providing them with silver to elite warriors that will later on go on the wall and fight for the battle that is coming.
It's the invaders, yeah.
Yep. And here is the guild hall, where we can further on enrich our deck with new magister cards. You always remain with 10 cards in your deck, but you are allowed to acquire new, and when you do, you can choose and remove one of the old cards. You would most likely remove one of your courtier cards, because these have special abilities, special powers. You remove one and you keep the new one. So you always stay with 10 cards, but you can enrich the deck.
But obviously as you gain more of the same type, the cost is going to go up.
The cost increases, but also you receive additional victory points from this. Okay, so making such an investment may be good. Here, I think, yes, it's the last building, which allows you to build the lower part of the city. So by visiting the Builders Guild, you can take any of these tiles, place it in front of you, and be able to perform an additional, an additional ability.
It looks like all these buildings are also worth victory points as well.
Yes, as well. And on the top left, you can see their costs. There are 3 levels, and in the first season, everything costs what you see. But in the second season, these tiles cost 1 stone less, and in the third, these tiles cost 1 less.
Okay.
So as the game progresses, it is easier to acquire more expensive tiles. So that's mainly what the buildings do. These are limited. There are always fewer than the number of players. So you need to plan ahead and make sure you choose the right abilities based on the strategy you want to follow. So let's go up here before we go to the magisters. These are the King's Grants. There are more cards. There are 6 cards, and we only choose 3 at random. These represent the 3 seasons. So for the first season, this is the King's Grant. So this is what he demands from us.
Okay, actually, here I'm going to put this one in the middle so we can kind of zoom in on that.
Okay, so actually it's a battle for majority. So if you are able to gather more of these, of each type, you will be awarded with more victory points.
And those types are the elite warriors.
These are the elite warriors, the arts cards, and the science cards. Okay. So let's bring this back. In the second season, the new card will be revealed, and so on.
And do each one of these, if I just look at this one, do each one of these have a slightly different breakdown in terms of points?
Course. Also, in this card you can see the new arrangement of the market, which changes every time based on what is shown on this card. Okay, so we're in the first turn, and let's go now to the Magisters. Okay, we already said that a courtier can be used to add a wooden figure on any action on the board. Magisters also provide additional abilities that you can perform. So let's see them one by one. The merchants.
Here, we'll put that in the middle too.
Yep. The merchants
yellow.
allow you. There are three buildings: the repository, the barracks, the treasury that have an indication.
Little barrel, yellow barrel.
The symbol of the merchant, which means that when you enter, you get one additional good of the offered ones. So if I enter here, I will take 2 cubes. If I go there, I will take 2 + 1 coins, and if I come here, I will take 2 recruits.
Okay.
Okay. The Scribe allows you to perform another action right away. So let's see. For example, I want to use the Scribe. I would play the Scribe, enter a building, perform the corresponding action, and before the next player gets to play, I can already play another action and go anywhere else on the board and perform another action.
Now, if we were, let's say someone was already there, if I borrow one of your white pieces, and then let's say black came in, and black had to pay 2 cards and paid a yellow merchant and a green scribe, would they both get 1 extra and get to go again?
Let me
get both of those
explain
things?
this in detail. First of all, let me say that Magister cards count as 2 courtier cards. So when the indication shows that you need 2 cards, you can just play a Magister card and enter without having to use 2 cards to do it. So yes, if for example Scribe was played here, I could enter, and then with a second card I would come here and perform the action again. Okay. So we've explained these 2 already, and let's go to the Clerics. What the Clerics do is, as you can see, let me bring some more wooden fingers here. So this area is limited, so let's assume that this was full. Okay, so there's no chance that anyone can get in here with regular cards. Okay, this is blocked, no one else can enter. This is the ability of the Cleric. The Clerics can enter a building even if there are other wooden figures blocking. So I choose any slot, and I can also enter and perform the action even if it is blocked.
Okay.
Okay, and let's move to the tax collector. Okay. Tax collector uses these special tiles. So let's assume that I want to enter this building. With the tax collector, what I do is I first place this token and then add my figure on there. From that point on, whoever is going to enter the building after me, they will have to pay me 1 gold coin to do so. So what the tax collector does is it makes it harder for other players to enter the buildings, and also gives you a better chance of keeping this area empty for you to use in the future, because everyone will say, okay, I don't want to give a coin, or I don't have a coin, I will go somewhere else and choose some other action. This leaves something open for you.
There's no penalty if I put my own color there?
No, there is not, but there's a way to avoid paying, which is playing also with another
tax collector. So if another player uses a tax collector, he doesn't have to pay. Of course, if a third person arrives, he will have to pay us both. But okay, they can always choose some other action to do. So these are the Magister cards, and the game goes on for three rounds. After we reach the 3rd round and we finish with the 3rd round, then it's time for the invaders to arrive. So what we do is we reveal one of these cards and see how much attack strength they have, and see if we are able to defend it.
And at this point, I will have to move backwards a bit and explain further the Royal Guard, because you acquire these two and you keep them and you just score points at the end, but these are a bit different. So when I make an elite warrior, what I do is place them, take one of the 5 I have available and place them on the wall so they can fight for me. So collectively each player will be placing elite warriors on the wall. So when we reveal this, we check the attack strength, which is based on the number of players. So for 2 players, it would be 2, 3, 3, 4, 4 in this specific card. There are different variations here, so it's random. You don't know exactly what's coming. So what we do is we compare the total attack strength with the total number of elite warriors on the wall, and if it's equal or higher, then the city is protected. The invader doesn't successfully enter the city, and nothing else happens. We just move on to the scoring.
Okay. But
in this case, though, right now we have only three elite warriors protecting, and the strength is 4, which means the city will fall. So invaders enter and do raids and kill our recruits and take our resources. So let's see how this works. If the wall is breached, then what happens is that each person individually compares the number of attack strength to his number of elite warriors, and he needs to lose goods and resources based on the number of based on the difference on these two. So if
one person contributed a lot, they're going to get hit the smallest amount.
Exactly. So if I only have 1 elite warrior on the wall and the attack strength is 4, this means that I have to lose 3 additional goods. This goes from recruits to goods to coins to even victory points. If I don't have anything else to lose, I just lose victory points. Okay, so it's really important to make sure it's important to make sure that you have enough to lose or enough protection so that this doesn't happen. It's a risk you can take because you can always count on other people to protect you. But of course, if the wall is breached, then you'll have to pay the price.
Interesting.
The buildings offer many additional abilities that can create combinations together with actions. So let's see a couple of these. For example, the House of Trade allows you to, when you enter the marketplace, you're allowed to sell get one
more money,
gold coin, and
buy.
When you sell, you get 1 more. When you buy, you pay 1 less.
Pay 1 less.
Similarly, some other tiles which work on specific buildings allow you to get additional goods from them. And of course, the last ones offer better scoring.
But more expensive, although they do get cheaper.
Exactly. So let's move to the scoring. So regardless of if the wall is breached or not, you move to the scoring and
bring that back to the middle.
Okay, so this card says that the person who gathered the most elite warriors will get the most points, and so on. So the first player will get 7, the next one will get 5, 4, 3, etc. Same with the other cards. And after you score, you just remove all these cards, and we move on to the next season. We play 3 seasons. After that, the player with the most victory points is a winner.
Pretty easy. And is there any sort of special final scoring at all, or is it still just
actually no? It's these cards, but there are also other ways to get victory points.
So add those all up at the end.
There's many different strategies you can follow. It's not just working with gathering the scoring cards.
How long do you think a typical game would take you?
Sorry?
How long do you think a typical game would take you?
In general, it's about 30 minutes per player.
So it's pretty fast for how much stuff you got going on here.
Yes. The mechanics are really simple. After you play a couple of rounds, everything moves very fast after that.
Now, I know you guys are selling this at the fair here, yes?
Yes.
When do you think this might be available in the United States?
I would expect it to be available about 2 months later. So around perhaps early December.
Right. Oh, hopefully in time for Christmas. Well, Konstantinos, thank you so much for showing us
Thank you.
Archon, Glory, and Machination.